American biotechnology company Moderna says preliminary trial data shows its coronavirus vaccine is more than 94% effective. Also adds that its vaccine can stay stable in refrigerators for 30 days. The United States top infectious disease scientist Anthony Fauci calls the efficacy data stunningly impressive. Indian equities remain on their upward trajectory, scaling new peaks. The Sensex crosses the 44,000 mark for the first time before ending the day a tad below that level. The Nifty also hits a new high and closes just below 12,900. And India's COVID-19 tally rises by less than 30,000 for the first time since mid-July, and active cases slipped to 4.5 lakh. But testing also remains below 10 lakh for the fourth day in a row. The Delhi government seeks to shut down markets in the city, which are emerging as COVID hotspots. Also wants to limit wedding parties to 50 people instead of the currently permitted 200. And the United States reports around 1.7 lakh new COVID infections on Monday, its second highest daily total, as cases surged. California, Chicago and Philadelphia reimposed COVID-19 restrictions. And as the COVID-19 crisis worsens in the US, President-elect Joe Biden says more people may die if outgoing President Donald Trump continues blocking the transition of power. Adds that the Trump administration must coordinate with his team to help speed up the vaccine procurement as well as distribution. And Tata Steel soars in trade on the announcement that it is negotiating to sell its Netherlands unit for around 20,000 crore rupees. Brokerages also give a thumbs up to the company's debt reduction plans and the second quarter performance. And the Adani Group throws the DHFL insolvency process for a loop with a surprise offer. Sources say the latest offer outstrips rival bids by offering 31,250 crore rupees for DHFL's entire book and 2,750 crores for its wholesale and AS and SRA books. Lenders may now be forced to invite fresh bids from the existing bidders to counter Adani's offer. And the centre tells the Delhi High Court it is yet to decide on appealing the arbitral award asking India to seize retro tax levy of 20,000 crore rupees on Vodafone. Adds that the decision will be taken by the empowered group of ministers. And the Supreme Court tells the government it wants a regulatory regime under a statute, and that self-regulation by TV channels through private bodies like NBO or NBSA isn't good enough. Asked the government to come back in 3 weeks and inform if a proper regime can be put in place to regulate channels. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes face-to-face virtually with Chinese President Xi Jinping for the second time this month at the 12th BRICS Summit. PM Modi says even during a tough year, BRICS has undertaken several steps to boost people-to-people ties. Well, those are the headlines at this hour. This is a show where our team at CNBC TV 18 gets you the top stories of the day. I'm Arif Sherwani and you're watching Reporter's Diary. And 1 year ago on this day, the first official case of COVID-19 was reported in Wuhan, China. More than 100 days later, the World Health Organization declared it a global pandemic. Now, today, we have 3 potential vaccine candidates against the disease with an efficacy rate of over 90%. Now, this is a significant development. The US drug regulator will approve a vaccine if it has an efficacy rate of over 50%. Now, the latest to join the bandwagon is US biotech major Moderna. The company was only founded a decade ago, but today it is going toe-to-toe with the biggest pharmaceutical giants. Now, Moderna has reported phase 3 results claiming an efficacy rate of 94.5%, which is higher than both Pfizer as well as Russia's Sputnik 5. And like Pfizer, this is also a 2-dose vaccine. Now, back home, the hunt for an indigenous vaccine has entered the last lap. Bharat Biotech has begun phase 3 trials of its vaccine candidate. This will be the last round of trials and will involve 26,000 volunteers. Now, the Indian government is not pinning all its hopes on a homemade remedy. The centre has initiated talks with global vaccine manufacturers to keep all options open. Now, here's the CEO of Moderna on the company's potential vaccine.
We are delighted that the vaccine has close to 95% efficacy. What we all want is if somebody gets infected, that they don't get severe disease. And that's the great news we had yesterday when the independent NIH-led Data Safety Monitoring Board shared with us all those data yesterday early in the afternoon. that was the news that we were most excited about, is if this can hold with a bigger number. I want to remind everybody, this is the first interim, 95 case. The full study will be complete at 151, so we have to wait a few more days. It's going to come pretty soon. The first agreement that we reached with the US government was for an order of 100 million doses. So we anticipate to be able to ship up to 20 million of those 100 million before the end of the year. So we are making product, as you know, every day and stockpiling it. And then every week we'll be making more and more product. And once the product is approved, basically every time we have a lot that is approved by the quality control unit of Moderna as meeting specification, it will be shipped right away. So I think with our vaccine and the other vaccine, that's a good hope that we should be able in Q1 to get people at high risk vaccinated in the US.
So how does the Moderna vaccine candidate stack up against the Pfizer vaccine candidate as well as Russia's Sputnik? Archana Shukla is here with all those details.
Well, yes, the interim result analysis of vaccine trials that have been released over the last 1 week has brought hope and also confidence that more than one vaccine will work against COVID-19. So we could have multiple successful vaccine candidates in the offing. Now, right a week after Pfizer reported a more than 90% efficacy, studying 94 confirmed cases, US firm Moderna reported a near 95% efficacy, where out of the 95 confirmed cases that they studied, only 5 cases were reported in the vaccinated group. Russia's Sputnik V vaccine has also reported over 90% efficacy, however, with a very small range of studying only 20 confirmed cases. So the reliability of that data will still need to be worked with more data that Sputnik V will have to release. Most important to note, the data is still not published in scientific journals, and phase 3 trials for all of these 3 vaccines are still ongoing. So the final results on efficacy will vary. However, experts feel that the data may not change dramatically, and a near 80% efficacy is something that the world can hope for. Now, besides data on duration of protection provided is something we still do not know, and we need to watch out for when final trial data is released. Where Moderna's vaccine actually takes a step ahead in the race is with the details on the diversification of the volunteer group. 42% of the trial participants are from the high-risk group, the elderly, ones with comorbidities, and that gives a broader range for this data. The result also highlighted that 11 severe cases were found in the 95 that they studied, and all of them were in the placebo group and none in the vaccinated group. Now, this is increasing hope that the vaccine could prevent serious infections too. Both Pfizer and Sputnik V have yet not released this data. Moderna's vaccine, although a similar mRNA vaccine like Pfizer, is more heat stable, making it easier to store and transport, especially on the long-term storage part. Even though Pfizer has stated that they are working on a logistics plan, it still makes Moderna's vaccine better placed with the last mile storage available for much longer at refrigeration temperatures. All, Pfizer, Moderna, Sputnik V have invested for at-risk manufacturing of large dosages, starting with a few million dosages to be rolled out in December 2020 itself, obviously post a favorable emergency use authorization in the United States. However, for most of these companies, the advance purchase agreements have been done with multiple countries already, and most of it is the developed world, which will be the first recipient. India is in talks with Moderna and Pfizer. However, the initial dosages might depend on the specific India tie-ups that India could have. Now, India could have a better deal when we look at this broader framework, could have a better deal with companies that are actually trialing these drugs, these vaccines, on the local population, and with who are partners in the WHO's vaccine development and supply facility, COVAX. So Bharat Biotech's Covaxin has entered into phase 3 trials with 26,000 volunteers. This is one that is being watched out for. Oxford AstraZeneca, that is, doing trials in India on phase 2 and 3 with 1,600 participants. And in fact, Serum Institute has a commitment to provide 100 million dosages by year end. So that is something that India can watch out for. Sputnik V is also in line to begin trials, and Zydus Cadila has indicated that late stage trials could end by March 2021. So these could be the ones that India could look forward to, also from the perspective of the cold chain storage infrastructure that we have. But yes, like you pointed out, talks are on with all global partners and global vaccine manufacturers as well. Back to you.
Right, Archana. Many thanks. So there you have it. That's how the three vaccine candidates stack up as far as the efficacy as well as the logistics of distribution are concerned. Now, as vaccine hopes rise, India's top vaccine experts, Dr. A.K. Ganguly and Dr. Gagandeep Kang, believe we could still be some distance away from a jab. Here's what they have to say about the many challenges that still lie ahead for India.
I think we stand a better chance of having a vaccine that can be stored long term at -20, and in the case of Moderna for 30 days at 2 to 8 degrees. However, the problem with these mRNA vaccines is their price. If the vaccines were a tenth or less of how much they are slated to be, we might have a chance of using them. You know, when India comes calling with the number of doses it might need, it might be possible to negotiate lower rates.
On that note, we'll slip into a short break. Coming up at 6 p.m., you can catch that entire conversation, in fact, with Dr. N.K. Ganguly and Dr. Gagandeep Kang at 6 p.m. right here on CNBC TV 18. In fact, we'll take a break in another few minutes. Here are some other headlines that we're tracking. This hour, India's COVID-19 tally rises by less than 30,000 for the first time since mid-July. And active cases slip to 4.5 lakh. But testing also remains below the 10 lakh mark for the fourth straight day in a row. The Delhi government seeking to shut down markets in the city, which are emerging as COVID hotspots. It also wants to limit wedding parties to 50 people instead of the permitted 200. And the United States reports around 1.7 lakh new COVID-19 infections on Monday, its second highest daily total. And as cases surge, California, Chicago, as well as Philadelphia reimpose COVID-19 restrictions. Right, and as the COVID-19 crisis worsens in the US, President-elect Joe Biden says more people may die if outgoing President Donald Trump continues blocking the transition of power. Adds that the Trump administration must coordinate with his team to help speed up the vaccine procurement as well as distribution. And on to all the action. On to all the action back home from Dalal Street, where amidst rising vaccine hopes, Indian equities continued their upward trajectory, scaling new peaks today. The Sensex crossed the 44,000 mark for the first time before ending the day a tad below that level. The Nifty also hitting new highs, closing just below 12,900. The banks have outperformed the frontline indices, with the Bank Nifty gaining 2%. In fact, Anuj Singhal is here with a wrap of the day's market action. Anuj, how did trade pan out today?
Well, there's a pattern in the market these days. There's a gap up, then consolidation, and then the last hour, breakout once again. And the same played out today. It's been a repetitive market all through this month. Big surge, financials once again leading this move. In fact, it's a fresh all-time high for the Nifty, a fresh 52-week high for the mid-cap index. The Bank Nifty is now up 22% for this month and has moved within 10% of its lifetime high. Not just that, there was big buying in metal names led by Tata Steel after its good numbers. So that did well. Life insurance stocks did well. HDFC Life hitting a new all-time high. SBI Life doing well. Cement stocks saw a big rally. That's the space where we had seen some really good numbers last month. And now we're seeing moves like the ones that you saw in both large caps and mid caps. So it's really been a stunning rally. This rally is backed essentially by the big vaccine trade, laggards catching up, dollars decline, and hence a lot of flows into emerging markets. And as of now, it doesn't look like it wants to stop. And the Bank Nifty still remains perhaps the index to focus on.
Clearly, so good news surrounding that vaccine have spurred the bulls on. On that note, we'll slip into a short break. Coming up on the other side, China and 14 other Asia-Pacific nations sign RCEP, the world's largest free trade pact. What does it mean for India as well as the global economy? We'll bring you all the analysis on the other side.
What can I get for you, sir?